leg day today. We're going to start off with single leg hamstring curls because guess what, boys? If you're going to do a single M exercise, it gives you higher motor unit recruitment. It's not necessarily always better, but what I will say is, especially if you've plateaued a muscle group, try isolating it. See what happens. You know, if you're not getting any strength gain on, say, a bench press, right, and you've been just plateaued for a while, well, I'd say first off, manage your fatigue. Try to get that under control, get that lowered. And then after that, once you've managed your fatigue, try to figure out how, okay, if I'm still not progressing, if I'm still plateaued, chances are you're probably pretty strong, or maybe you're not, I don't know. Try isolation, because then you'll get high motor unit recruitment after you've implemented fatigue reduction in your training. It's going to be wonderful. So anyway, let's get to the point, boys. Single leg hamstring curls are going to be wonderful. Ooh. Boys, if I can get to the point where I'm doing 200 with one leg on the hamstring curl, my hamstrings are going to be absolutely monstrous. So everybody should take that approach. They should say, well, if I could bench 500, okay, without being obese, chances are you're going to have a huge chest. This applies to pretty much every muscle group. I'm not saying you should be a power lifter and only train for strength, right? The difference between those guys and bodybuilders is power lifters, yes, they're getting reps with full motor unit recruitment, which is stimulating reps, but they're not prioritizing a good amount of stimulating reps, okay? So a lot of times they just won't have the same size as bodybuilders. Plus, you have to think they're not trying to get big biceps. They're just trying to get a big deadlift, squat, and bench, okay? So if you focus on progressive overload and getting enough stimulating reps without hyper-optimizing your strength and your performance, but just focusing on, okay, this weight is easier than it was last week, let's up the weight. This weight is easier than it was last week, let's up it again. Let's get more reps. If you keep doing that and saying, okay, I'm going to do adequate volumes to see progressive overload, you're going to get huge. Simple as that. So let's go to my right leg now. Let's go. Boys, you might be thinking, dude, why so low volume, man? You only did 2 sets each leg. You don't need that much when you're prioritizing high motor unit recruitment, right? If you're still seeing progressive overload, you're still making gains, you're still putting on size, and there's adaptations occurring, right? Sure, maybe you could increase that by a tiny bit, but guys, in case you didn't know, the first set is the most effective set in any workout, in any exercise. If I'm gonna do 10 sets, the first 2, right, or the first set is gonna be insanely effective, high motor unit recruitment, and then it takes 5 more sets to equal that first set's level of stimulus. 5 more sets to failure. Think about that. So, and after that, the returns are so diminishing that they're not even actually returns anymore. They're digging into your recovery and taking away from muscle protein or myofibrillar protein synthesis, which is actually the hypertrophy process, right? Instead of building new muscle, when you do more than a certain amount of volume, you're actually just going to be allocating that building process to more repair, which is going to totally wreck your gains. So that's why a lot of guys who say, oh, I'm doing high volume to failure, man, or a lot of guys who do the Arnold type of training method where they do crazy volumes to failure, they're not going to see great gains, right? And you might even have a buddy who you know from school, from college, from work, and he has great genetics, but you don't realize it, and you think he's just big because he trains like Arnold. And he goes, high volume always works, brother. Meanwhile, his genetics are just much better. Some guys can get away with training badly and still have great results. But the thing is, not everybody's the same. If that same guy said, you know what, I'm going to focus on efficient training with high motor unit recruitment, mitigating fatigue, then at the end of the day, he's going to be the biggest version of himself if he chooses to train efficiently. So, even though he's already bigger than everybody else because of his good genetics, he could still do better for his own genetics. It's about maxing out your potential as the individual, right? Always max out your potential. Don't compare yourself to everybody else. All right, I'm gonna start with my left leg, like always, because my left quad is smaller than my right. I'm starting to close that gap though, and I think you guys can see it in my videos. Lately, my left quad has really been catching up. So, we're gonna go for 200 today, because last week I did 190 for like 4 or 5 reps, I think. And, progressive overload, boys, if you're doing everything right, it's gonna happen so quick. Not even everything right, but if you're doing the majority of things right, it's gonna happen super quick. So, I'm gonna go for 200 single leg extensions. We're getting close to the full stack, boys. We only need 50 more pounds, or I guess I'm gonna do 205, so it would be 45 more pounds until we reach the full stack. And then we could still add the extra 10 here. So, that's gonna be pretty cool. Boys, that was heavy. So I'll go for like 3 or 4 solid reps on the right. Oh. Had a little more in me, but like I said, guys, right quad is a little bit bigger than my left, so I'm not gonna try to push it as hard as I can. I think I'm gonna try one more set on my left, because I definitely misgrooved a little bit, or one more set with this weight. Because I feel like if I get in the right groove, I could definitely move the weight a little better, but I tried pausing a little too long at the bottom there for the left leg, so anyway. Let's think. Something that happens when you become decently strong as a lifter is you won't even be aware of your own strength necessarily. Like, you will look at it as like an impressive figure, whatever lift you have that's, good. But then you'll look at other people in the gym who might even be lifting less than you, and you'll be like, man, that guy's so strong, like that's crazy. And then you realize you literally do more than that person. And it's like, well, I've come far, bro. I've come pretty far to be able to like look at a guy who's strong and be like, man, he's strong, but I'm a little bit stronger. That's nuts. And I'm not saying that like as an ego thing, like, oh, you should just compare yourself to everybody. No, not at all. But I look at so many people like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I could never do that. And then I realized that I do that lift. Like, I saw a guy repping 3 plates the other day on bench, and I was like, man, that's crazy. Like, oh, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait, I could do that too. You know what I mean? So always be aware of your accomplishments, right? Don't like be prideful. Don't be arrogant and egotistical about them, of course. But don't shortchange yourself. Don't discredit yourself. Just, but also be humble too. Sheesh. All right, boys, there will come a point where when I get my gym pin, you're gonna see an even more serious level of volume reduction, because while single limb sets have higher motor unit recruitment and may help you push past plateaus a little more effectively than other methods, single limb exercises force you to do double the volume. And before anybody goes, well, if it's single limb, then that's like half a set. It's not how it works. Any set to failure is going to impact your central nervous system, even if you're not using multiple muscles at the same time, right? One set to failure on deadlifts, while yes, it is a very fatiguing exercise, it's not the equivalent of 100% using your lats and your traps and all the muscles in your body. You're just spreading your energy throughout your body. You're allocating motor unit across a bunch of different muscles. So while yes, it is an extremely fatiguing movement, it's not as fatiguing as if I were to do one set of a lat pull down with one arm, another set of a lat pull down with one arm, one set of a, shrug, you get it, one set of a hamstring curl, all the muscles that this deadlift targets. You know what I mean? So I think I actually explained that pretty well. Maybe I could have ordered it better, but I definitely explained that, I think, pretty well. But anyway, we're gonna do adductors here. And in case I didn't already describe what the gym pin was, the gym pin is literally just an extra pin that you can put onto any stack, really, and put a 45-pound plate on it, so it can act as like an extender, right? And you could put on hundreds of pounds extra onto any stack. So definitely excited for that. And that's going to allow me to use both limbs at the same time on a lot of these exercises and still be very highly challenged. This is part of the reason I need a gym pin, okay? A gym pin will allow me to put more than one extra plate on this. And I'm almost certain I could probably do 2 extra plates on this right now. So let's go. This is a pretty weird angle, but we're probably going to end up finishing the session at 13 sets today. It's a little more than I want, but especially once that gym pin comes in, boys, again, we'll be able to start doing both legs at the same time in a very challenging manner. There's some things that I'll keep doing as single leg, right, to fix imbalances, but you get what I'm saying. So let's go. You guys should be able to see the bottom of my feet, my heels. That would mean that I got a good stretch. So anyway, let's go. I'm gonna do 270, maybe even, we'll try 280 actually. Alright, that felt like a good stretch. 285 actually moved pretty well. It's never moved that well before. In fact, I've never even done that weight before. So we'll do one more set on the right, and then we'll do one more set on the left, and then another set on the right, and then I'll finish off the day. Another amazing angle here. You guys should be able to see my right calf in 4K Ultra HD high definition, 30 frames per second. And I don't really have much else to say other than, yeah, this is probably gonna move good. All right, boys, pump is pretty good. Hopefully the calves look like I've actually done something for them in my life, or maybe taken a few steps. I don't know. Calves can always get bigger. I don't care who you are. I mean, even if you're, I think his name's Eric Fankhauser, something like that. Dude has, I think, like the biggest calves in the world. And I think he's probably the only one who maybe could use a little bit smaller calves. Because, I mean, his calves are so disproportionately big that they make his quads look like the same as his calves, which is crazy. Anyway, I'm just excited, man. Today was a good workout. I feel like I just am starting to actually get to the point in the cut where I do look better. I don't just feel better or any of that. I don't really have carbs in me or anything like that. Maybe like 30 or so today from just electrolyte drinks and whatnot. But anyway, let's get to some low exposure posing, boys. And I'm not talking skin. We're gonna expose the skin, but not the the light. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying. Anyway.